Hello there! You know, I have good news and bad news for you. The good news is that you get to eat unrestrictedly and rest for a prolonged period, just like you've been dreaming of doing. And the bad news is that it is your responsibility to do just that. So watch the following video, like or subscribe, and peace. Hello there, my name is Billy Juliana. I'm 49 years old and I have a 40-year history of dealing with anorexia nervosa, and I'm currently following the recovery methods espoused by Tabitha Farrar, Kayla Rose Katecki, and Elisa Orris. And today, yes, I am talking about responsibility in anorexia recovery. And first, at the outset, I want to just say I am responsible for the setting of this video looking as crappy as it does, because I wanted to change up the setting that I've been using. And I'm doing that, and yet the lighting is terrible, and it looks kind of, I don't know, just too personal, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm responsible for that, very sorry. If I could just put like a backdrop of like a pretty landscape behind me, I would do that. But it's been raining where I live for forever, and of course the current climate in the world, what can I say? If any of you have clicked onto this video, I'm amazed, because a lot of us who are older and going through anorexia recovery are probably quite diverted at this point by world issues, and I do understand that. But I'm still making anorexia recovery videos because I think it's really important that I put my recovery first, and I'm responsible for doing that. So while there is a huge world crisis going on as I speak, I also know that if I don't stay on the recovery path and I let a world crisis divert me from my path, then I'm just going to go right back into anorexia should I survive this. So as long as I'm living, I always need to put anorexia recovery first. So I'm responsible for doing that. Now, I know that a lot of you are not even going to click onto this video, and if those of you who have clicked onto this video are ready to click off, I just want to hang on to your attention for a second. I realize that the lighting and the surroundings are what they are, but I did want to just pop on camera here to talk about responsibility, because I just think it's really, really important. And I know a lot of you are coming to anorexia recovery or are in anorexia recovery using this method of recovery and just feeling so tired and overwhelmed and exhausted. And so talking about responsibility is just blah. You don't want to take on any more responsibilities. A lot of us who are older have careers, we have jobs, we have pets, we have families, we have friends, we have so much going on. And so, the whole idea of more responsibility is too much. However, anorexia recovery responsibility can actually be less onerous and more empowering. I certainly have found that for myself. When I finally just stopped all the mind games that I've been playing and got into unrestricted eating and resting, I did actually feel some empowerment. I was like, actually, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm really doing this. And I'm going to make it farther than I've ever made in my entire life using 100 different methods of treatment before. So I am just excited. And so there is an element of taking responsibility for my recovery these days that is empowering. Now, for those of you who are new, I want to just say that I am not 100% recovered. So I am not coming from a place of expertise about this method of recovery in toto. I have a certain amount of expertise in the experience that I've had with it so far. I've gotten in there, I've started eating unrestrictedly, I've gained 50 pounds nearly, I don't know, somewhere around there. I've gotten from a very low weight into the normal BMI zone. But you know what? Weight is not the primary issue. But I have to say that I've come from a lower place, and I've come from a kind of sick place, and I've gotten to a less sick place, if we want to just put it that way. But no matter what the weight is, and no matter where you are in your recovery journey, some of you may be like me, having gained a lot of weight using this method of recovery, and still having a lot of mental and physical hunger and feeling very vulnerable and scared because you don't know how to proceed from here. You're like, where is this going? And I'm just saying, keep going. You know, my definition of starvation is now evolved and it's changed. I feel like starvation is any state in which we are energy deprived. And so while I might not look like I'm starving, I feel like the starvation state is still present because I am not 100% energy restored. My body still asks for a lot of food, and it still is obvious that it needs to store more energy. So just want to say that I'm responsible for fulfilling my body's wishes. I'm responsible for responding to the extreme hunger and mental hunger and physical hunger that I have. Now, I've had extreme hunger in the past that has been greater than it is now. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but I still have a lot more hunger than most normal people out there do. If whatever you call normal, I don't even know these days because it's changed so much. Everybody's doing something different and everybody's doing something the same. It's all a form of restriction out there. So it's all kind of weird. But whatever the case may be, for what the treatment center model might have been is this moderate eating kind of thing, I'm way beyond that. My body wants to eat a lot more than that. My body wants to gain more weight. That's just the facts. And I'm responsible for responding to my body's requests for being like, okay, I'm going to do this. So responsibility is a response. My body asks for certain things. It asks for food and rest, and I give it those things. Yes, I am also responsible for taking care of the feelings that I have, the anxiety, the fear, and all of that. And there are many ways in which I can tackle these things. One way is just to sit with them and let them play themselves out. Because in some ways that is just what I have to do. You know, a lot of times they say pretend the fear isn't there and don't engage in it. And that is absolutely true. Another thing though is just to sit there and be like, okay, fear is here and anxiety is here. I don't feel so good in this moment, but I'm just going to let it pass. I'm going to eat, keep eating, and keep responding to what my body is asking for. And it may not feel the ultimate greatest, but it'll pass. And I have found that it does pass. It's not as just huge and overarchingly overwhelming as I have forecasted it to be. So just wanted to put that out there too. So again, responsibility in anorexia recovery doesn't have to be the burdensome thing that we think of it as. In fact, in the past, in other treatments, I've had responsibilities for recovery that were a real drag. I just have to say, I didn't like those. And so the responsibility that I have now is actually a lot more fun. I have to say that. And also, it is, like I've said, more empowering. And the other part of this is that this method of recovery requires that I do the work. And so in the past, treatment centers have given me meal plans and all this kind of stuff. And that's a form of work that I've been doing, is to follow the meal plan, which I never follow because anorexics never follow their meal plans. Who follows their meal plans? I just want to put it in the comments if you follow your meal plan that your dietitian has given you, if you've done that in the past. Okay, just wanted to know. All right, so I don't think any anorexic follows meal plan. It works much better to do the unrestricted eating thing. Now, a lot of us have trouble figuring out what unrestricted eating is, or we're standing at the brink of going all in with the eating, and we don't know even where to start because our mental hunger is so ginormous that we just don't know where to start. It's like, I could eat all of IHOP this morning. That's a pancake franchise for those of you who are not familiar. Or I could eat the entire coffee house this morning. A lot of us feel like it's just so much that is on our mind food-wise that we don't even know where to start. And so for me, like I've said in previous videos, it started with just driving myself to that coffee house or to that deli and getting a load of things that I thought I wanted, that I thought looked good, and then sitting down and eating as much of it as I could. And the whole idea here is to eat all of everything. Now, I couldn't get through all of everything because I got too full, but that was an honest not eating all. I didn't pick things off at the start, which has been part of my behavior in the past. My anorexic behavior has always been to get something and then to rip some of it off and throw it away and then have a part of something. So this was something that I needed to overcome. And my coach at the outset was like, absolutely no, you do not rip anything off your food. Bad behavior. She was really upset with that behavior right from the very first session. And obviously that behavior is just restriction and anorexia 101. And so the idea is to go out and just start, and for me, when I say go out, I needed someone else to prepare the food, at least in some way. So while I do have responsibility for getting the food in me, I can delegate some of that responsibility to actually someone else preparing the food, that being a deli for me. And it had to be that way for me for most meals, because I just was not in a place where I could make my own food without ripping some of it off and throwing it away, or going through the lower fat brand or whatever. I needed to have someone else do this. So that is a responsibility that we all have, is just getting started, just getting in there and doing it. So for those of you who are on the brink of going into all-in eating, or for those of you who have done all-in eating and gotten to a place and stopped like I have done in the past, and who are still on the brink of all-in eating, even though you've gained a lot of weight, it's time now to go all in. Right now. That doesn't mean tomorrow morning, okay, tomorrow's the day. No, right now. Whenever I would have a session with my coach online, it would be like I would click off of our session on my computer, and then I would be immediately impelled to go and eat something, because it was that inspiring for me to get that message and to go with it. And so if I can do that for anyone out there, please take inspiration that it is okay to go eat what you want to eat. And it's actually necessary to take responsibility and go do it. Another thing, again, is resting. It's my responsibility to cut out the lower level movement stuff. This is such a hard one for me. Stopping formal exercise, easy. I was like, I'm so done with formal exercise. I'm so glad I don't have to do it. And in fact, I ran into someone today who hasn't seen me in a while. And the last time he saw me, I think I was out walking. And he was like, oh, you look so good. Oh, I hate that comment. I don't understand why I hate that comment, because whatever, it's a compliment. What is wrong with us? Ugh. But anyway, but you know what? People will tell you you look good when you are direly sick and about to die. So it's just something that comes out of people's mouths. Anyway, so he says, oh, yeah, it looks so good. I'm like, thanks. And then he said, are you still walking? And I was like, oh, man. And it was because I was wearing a jacket that was like an all-weather jacket, I think. And of course, he knows me as someone who is, a pretty regular exerciser. And he himself is a big marathon Ironman person. And with all due respect to that lovely man, he's a really nice guy. I really like him. I have to say that I was like, no, I'm not walking. And I felt a little bit of guilt at that moment. I was kind of like, but then I was like, whatever. I said, no, no, I'm not. So exercise for me was kind of like, yeah. But lower level movement, I'm like, oh dear, I have such a problem with that. So again, this is something that I'm responsible for. How am I going to stop this lower level movement? Well, one way I can do it is just to go watch some Netflix. And it feels extremely anxiety provoking, actually, for me to sit and watch Netflix. Does anybody relate to that? As much as I want to do it, I feel such anxiety. I feel this compulsion arise, like I've got to go save the world. Like the world is having troubles right now, and I've got to go help fix it. And watching Netflix won't do that. Well, here's the thing. watching Netflix or whatever programming that you enjoy, or just sitting down watching YouTube or reading whatever it is that is a leisure activity, that is a way for our bodies to heal. And so I don't understand that when I'm doing it. The anorexic circuitry in my brain is popping off all these little thoughts that are saying, this is wrong, this is bad, this is idle. You've got to hashtag rise and grind. You got to do all this stuff in order to make your way in the world. Why aren't you doing it? You know, you are just wasting time. And I'm like, ugh. And so it takes work for me to concentrate on what I'm watching and to actually sit and do that. And that is one way in which I'm having to knock out the lower level movement, because lower level movement tells me that I'm going to save the world by doing laundry. I'm going to save the world by folding sheets just so that the pleats in the sheets, when you unfold them to make a bed, are exactly aligned so that you know exactly how the sheets are going to line up on either side of the bed. I need to do it just so. No one else in the house can fold sheets, because I'm going to save the world by folding sheets. This is my lower level movement problem. And I'm just bearing it to all of you to let you know that, yes, I did fold sheets today. And I realize as I am talking to the camera right now that there is some part of my brain that thinks that the world is a better place because I have this method of sheet folding. I needed to be watching Netflix instead. So I'm responsible for that. So I wanted to pop on camera and just say, let's be responsible. Let's put ourselves first. Let's not stand on the brink of unrestricted eating anymore. Let's just dive in and go all in. We've spent decades hurting and harming ourselves. And while the world is having crises of its own, and we feel like perhaps we may need to restrict in order to stay afloat in this world, we need to keep on recovery track. As long as we're alive, we need to keep eating unrestrictedly. As crazy as that may sound to our anorexic or to our moral sense, it is our responsibility to put ourselves first. That is the greater moral concern right here, because we're not going to be any good to anyone if we aren't 100% on down the road. And so right now we need to stay on the recovery path. I need to remind myself of that, because we've got a lot of stuff going on right now, and I can get caught up in it and get distracted from doing what I need to do because I'm so worried about other things. But I also need to put myself first. Okay, so with that, I'm going to click off, but I'm also going to say, please, again, jump into unrestricted eating, rest for a prolonged period, take care, and until next time, peace.